Hey, what's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? It's your boy Chris. It's your boy Chris. It's another amazing episode of Financipation. This channel is all about making money. This channel is all about saving money. This channel is all about building generational wealth, and it's all about financially emancipating yourself from generational poverty. On this channel, everybody, I try to give you a six-figure MBA level worth of investing and financial knowledge for free here on YouTube. And the things that people typically spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to learn in grad school and in business school, I give it to you for free here on Financipation. And I have an MBA, so I know a little bit about what I'm talking about, okay? Before I go any further, I want to give a shout out to my one of my sponsors, Solutions. They're the ones who make these very dope graphics that you're seeing. They're the ones who do all my digital marketing, all my YouTube edits and things of that nature. The website development skills are on point. And if you're looking for somebody to build a website for you and to essentially help you with your YouTube channel, Solutions, I can't honestly say anybody better than them, okay? So before we go any further, everybody, I want you to hit that notification bell. If you're not familiar with this channel or whatever, I want you to hit that notification bell, like, comment, subscribe, so I can continue to give you guys free content. And with that, everybody, let's get started. So I had a subscriber reach out to me and ask me, why do I continue to talk so much about ETFs and index funds? And why do I talk basically why are index funds one of the things that I push the most on my channel? Well, to be honest with you, everybody, I'll be completely real with you. I do not advise, I don't tell my clients or my subscribers or my listeners or whatever to do anything that I personally do not do. So for instance, if you check on the link below or whatever, you will notice that through my website, Financipation, I do financial consulting, essentially for anybody who wants to learn how to essentially build generational wealth, get out of debt, things of that nature. And one of the things that I invest a lot in my wife and my portfolio are index funds and ETFs. And I would say roughly 75% of our retirement portfolio, as well as our brokerage accounts and things of that nature, are in index funds. Roughly 75% I would say are in index funds. I would say about 15% are in REITs or whatever, and the other 10% is a combination of the S&P 500 and in technology. But a lot of people essentially want to ask me, why do I put so much emphasis on index funds? And I decided, you know what, I've had a couple people ask me this question, so let me go ahead and make a podcast about it, okay? So there it goes. Let's go ahead and get started. Let's go ahead and get started. First and foremost, index funds, everybody, are great investments because they match the stock market. So a lot of people end up confusing mutual funds and index funds or whatever, when in actuality, they are two separate things or whatever. Mutual funds, everybody, are designed to beat the stock market. Index funds, however, are designed to match the stock market. In 1975, a very cool gentleman named Jack Bogle invented the index fund to essentially match the stock market. And this allowed the everyday investor, the everyday mom and dad, the everyday Joe or whatever, to invest in the stock market. By creating index funds, Jack Bogle made it easy for the average person, once again, to essentially build wealth through the stock market. In other words, prior to Jack Bogle, you essentially had to pay some financial manager, some hedge fund manager or whatever, to essentially tell you what stocks to pick. Or you had to basically get highly educated and spend roughly 100 hours a week working or whatever in Wall Street and basically as a trader or whatever to figure out what stocks to buy. And that way you could pretty much sell that knowledge to your client. Jack Bogle, however, created a system that essentially made it easy for the average everyday person to essentially build generational wealth, once again, through stocks and through mutual funds. He also created a system or whatever that means you literally never have to pay someone expensive fees to manage a stock for you. I'm gonna be completely honest with you, everybody. 90% of financial advisors cannot beat the stock market, and they can't beat an index fund over a 15-year period. Warren Buffett, who I consider to be the LeBron James, the Kobe Bryant, the Michael Jordan, essentially, of investing, has admitted publicly that he cannot beat the stock market. And if Warren Buffett cannot beat the stock market, what makes you think that you can? Fidelity, everybody, has a saying: the best investors are dead and or they are people who forgot they put in a recurring payment into an index fund. And the reason why Fidelity says that is very simple, because people who basically don't touch their stock and people who essentially invest money into an index fund and don't realize it and just continue to invest and don't touch it, those are always the best investors. Next, index funds are great investments because they provide total diversification. I want you guys to think of individual stocks like Tesla, like Google, like Microsoft, like Facebook, like Amazon. These are some of the biggest and best stocks or whatever in the world. And as it boils down to it, people, if you invest $1,000 or whatever into Tesla, Google, Microsoft, or Facebook or whatever, if it goes up, you make a lot of money. But if it goes down, you lose a lot of money. Essentially, everybody, if you put all your eggs in one proverbial basket, if that basket collapses or whatever, you lose all your money. And that is the issue or whatever with investing in individual stocks. In general, everyone, it is better to diversify your portfolio. period. You do not want to get into that game where you're only investing in 1 or 2 stocks like a Google, a Microsoft, a Tesla, or whatever. Regardless of how big the company is, everyone, you want to diversify your portfolio. And a total stock market index fund is made up of roughly 3,000 to 5,000 stocks or whatever of the best stocks on the stock market. And the S&P 500, conversely, is made up of the top 500 stocks or whatever on the stock market, whether it's Vanguard, Charles Schwab, or Fidelity. Because you are literally investing in the entire stock market in a total stock market index fund, you are completely diversified. And if 1 or 2 of your stocks or whatever are down, it's not a problem because you literally have another 3,000 or 4,000 stocks or whatever that can literally make up the difference. Now, at the time of this recording, over $4.5 trillion are being held inside of index funds in the United States of America. So that means you are literally backed up by literally hundreds of billions / trillions of dollars if you invest in a total stock market index fund. Next, index funds are great investments because they provide extremely low capital gains taxes. Compared to other forms of investing, index funds can significantly and legally lower your taxes on the amount of money that you make. So for instance, if you go once again with a financial advisor, some type of actively managed mutual fund manager or some type of hedge fund manager type person or whatever, they typically are selling stocks in order to attempt to beat the stock market. And the reason why they're doing that is because if a fund sells a stock for a profit, then the difference between the initial purchase price and the sale is considered a capital gain. In other words, they are incentivized to make as much money as possible because that's how they essentially can jack up their commissions. But conversely, they're also, by doing that, they put you in an extremely risky place where they could lose you a lot of money. Secondly, the gains that you get or whatever, if you're doing this day trading thing, you're jumping in and out of the stock market, or you're basically following the advice of some financial advisor or whatever, the gains that you make on those results in a tax that must be paid to the IRS by the fund investors that you basically are investing into. In other words, everybody, I'm going to talk about a little later, but if you are a day trader or you're a short-term investor, if you're basically buying stocks and selling them and things of that nature, you are going to pay a lot more in taxes than a person who simply buys a stock, buys an index funds, and holds on to it for 30 or 40 years. People, funds with higher turnover ratios and typically accrue more capital gains / taxes. And all index funds are passively managed. They have an extremely low turnover ratio, and fund managers aren't selling them all the time. As a result, people like myself that invest in index funds pay significantly less in taxes. And by the way, a lot of financial planners, once again, they tell you to buy and sell stock, and they push you to be a short-term investor instead of being a long-term investor like myself, because if you're a short-term investor, it helps their commissions and their bottom lines. It puts their kids through college while it could potentially negatively affect yours. Next, index funds are great investments because they cost you almost nothing and they have extremely low expense ratios. So if you take a look at some of the index funds like the Charles Schwab of the world, the Gutenbacher Group, Vanguard, take a look at some of the index funds on Charles Schwab, take a look at some of the index funds on Fidelity. Generally speaking, the expense ratios on them are extremely small. Once again, actively managed mutual funds versus passively managed mutual funds. Mutual funds are actively managed by a financial manager and hedge fund managers that charge you fees and commissions. Whereas index funds, which are the ones that I prefer, are passively managed by you. And as a result, they have extremely low expense ratios. For instance, I'm an engineer, so I like giving numerical examples for everything that I say. Let's say you hire a very top-notch, top of the food chain mutual fund manager or a financial advisor or whatever, and you give them roughly $500 a month for 35 years, and they select an actively managed mutual fund that returns 10% every year for you. Now, let's say this financial advisor charges you the industry standard for their fees and their commissions and things of that nature. Over a 35-year period that gives 10% of the interest, you will have roughly $1 million or whatever in that mutual fund. That doesn't sound like a really bad idea until you look at it a little differently. Let's say instead of going with that mutual fund manager, you instead decide to go with a passively managed index fund with Fidelity, with Vanguard, with Charles Schwab, with another brokerage account. And let's say you put that same $500 into every month into it that returns the same 10%, but it only has an expense ratio in this example of 0.02%. People, in 35 years, you will have amassed nearly $1.7 million. Basically, by going with a financial manager instead of a passively managed index fund, you literally cost yourself nearly $700,000 or 40% of your retirement account. As a result, people, this is the reason why I am not a very big fan of financial planners or financial managers or anything like that. Because at the end of the day, you are essentially paying more money for an inferior product. And on top of that, very few financial planners that are out here can actually beat the stock market. In fact, 90% of financial planners, mutual fund managers, hedge fund managers, or these Facebook social media gurus that you see, 90% of them cannot beat the stock market or a total stock market index fund that matches the stock market. So you're essentially paying for an inferior product. Before I go any further, everybody, I want you to hit that notification bell so that you know when I drop new content. Please hit that like button. Please like, please comment, please subscribe. It helps the algorithm, and I thoroughly enjoy giving you guys free content, okay? Next, index funds are a great investment because they provide very high guaranteed rates. I talked about this a little bit earlier, everybody, but the 15-year track record of my Charles Schwab S&P 500 index funds are widely available online. And over a 15-year period, they essentially beat the actively managed mutual funds that are selected by mutual fund managers literally 90% of the time. For what it's worth, the hot stocks, the ones I talked about earlier, like Tesla, like Google, like Microsoft, like Facebook, like Amazon, at the time I'm recording this podcast in 2023, they are down this year by 10%. By the way, however, the boring run-of-the-mill index funds that I have been investing into this entire year, they are up by 15%. I actually have a REIT right now that's up by 19%. As I said earlier, everybody, passively managed index funds, they cost less money than actively managed mutual funds. They cost you less in taxes, and historically speaking, once again, 90% of the time over a 15-year period, you will pay less in taxes, and they make you a lot more money. And once again, if you go with that passively managed index fund instead of an actively managed mutual fund, you are going to make more money 90% of the time over a 15 to 30-year period. Next, index funds are great investments because they are easy, they are simple, and they are effective. Guys, as a mechanical engineer who runs a couple of businesses, as a husband, as a father, as a YouTuber, as a personal trainer, and things of that nature, I lead a very, very busy life. It's as simple as that. And I like index funds because they are very simple, they are very easy, and they are very effective. Past results are obviously no indication of future returns, but I have index funds that have literally returned on average around 14% over the last 50 years. And during the years that I have been invested into index funds or whatever, our retirement portfolio has more than quadrupled. Every time, everybody, that I get paid or that we get paid, or we make a small sale percentage on basically one of my businesses, or I get a pay raise or whatever, or I sell some products or whatever, or I basically sit down and meet with the client, every time I make extra money, I invest it into my index funds and or into some of my real estate investment trusts. It automatically comes out of my paycheck. And as a result, I only periodically check my accounts or whatever to make sure they're being reinvested correctly. But generally speaking, everybody, is set and forget. I put a certain percentage of my income every month into it or whatever, and I don't even touch that money. In other words, everybody, it's simple, it's easy, it's highly effective, and financially, it's very lucrative. And best of all, I don't have to spend literally hours pouring through financial news, watching C-SPAN, reading financial articles, whatever, any of that kind of stuff. I can literally focus on being a husband, a father, a mechanical engineer, a business owner, and an entrepreneur. And that's what I like the most about index funds. It's essentially one of the easiest ways to build generational wealth in the United States of America, period. Next, index funds are absolutely great for long-term investors. People, I've said this multiple times, I am not a short-term investor. I don't believe in buying stock, watching television, and then selling my stock because inflation is here and the recession is coming. I don't believe in that stuff. I don't basically buy my stock and then sell it because I'm trying to get in on some new fad or whatever. I buy my stock and I hold it literally for decades. I buy my index funds and I just simply reinvest the dividends directly back into the index fund. So everybody, if you want to play that game where you're essentially buying and selling stocks or whatever, and you jump in and out of the market or whatever, then that's your prerogative. You can do what you want to do. This is a free country. But to me, that's very dumb, as you once again are going to try to beat the stock market. And 90% of the time, investors, including Warren Buffett, who I truly respect, cannot beat the stock market. So what makes over a 10 to 15 year period? So what makes you think that you can? Statistically speaking, everybody, timing the market is going to keep you broke, and it's going to keep you essentially going crazy because you're trying to essentially read the future. And I find that people who typically want to do that, they are no different than a person who goes down to Vegas and puts their entire 401k so they can try to blow it one night at the casino and make millions. To me, it's not a winning game. Secondly, everybody, jumping in and out of the stock market, I talked about this earlier, it's going to cause you to pay considerably more in taxes due to the capital gains. And lastly, everybody, studies show that long-term investors that buy their assets and that hold on to them for 20, 30, 40, 50 years and who don't sell them, on average, we do vastly better than those who are constantly selling stocks and jumping in and out of the stock market. My advice, everybody, is simple. Be a long-term investor. A very large percentage of my wife and I's portfolio are index funds or whatever. And my advice is, regardless of whatever stock you try to get into, hold on to them for decades and do not sell them and do not be a short-term investor, period. With that, everybody, once again, it's your boy Chris. This channel is all about making money. It's all about saving money. It's all about building generational wealth, and it's all about financially emancipating yourself from generational poverty. You can book a one-on-one session with me. I thoroughly enjoy doing my one-on-one sessions with my clients because that's really how I can kind of break it down to you based off of your individual plan, your individual time frame, and most importantly, the amount of money that you actually individually bringing in. I like sitting down with my clients and kind of walking them through my methodology, my thought process, so they can essentially retire with dignity and respect and live a life that's basically where they don't have to worry about finances or money. Lastly, everybody, I'm not giving you financial advice on this channel. You must make responsible decisions based on your own thorough, independent knowledge and conduct yourself or whatever with your own financial choices. Thanks for listening, everybody. And before you go, please follow me on my Instagram channel at @thereal_Financipation. Check me out on my Spotify page for my blog. It's called also Financipation, just like it's spelled right there. TikTok or whatever, you can check me out on Financipation. My Facebook page is Financipation as well. And I want you to check out some of my digital, my e-products below as well. I have scholarship books. I have a lot of other digital products, or just go to my website, okay, and find it there. With everybody, hit that notification bell, hit that like button. It's your boy Chris. I thoroughly enjoy giving you guys free content, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.